let's talk about my Penguin Classics horror collection. Hi, welcome to Garage Geek, and it's October 2nd. Let's get rid of Halloween Freddy here for a second. Isn't he cute? So there are going to be a couple reasons why I make this video. Number one, yeah, I'm a collector. I want to show off my collection. Now, I have many other horror books, but today I'm going to be focusing on my Penguin Classics. I guess they're called the black covers. I'm not sure. I'm just going to call them the Penguin Classics Blacks. I want to show off my collection. And a second reason is that I want to talk about a contest that I'm joining. It's not really a contest, it's a thread. But I think for that part of the video, I'm not going to be in this position. I'm actually on my knees right now because this is a really difficult way to film. So let's go ahead and talk about my Penguin Classics collection. I have a lot of short story collections. And when I buy a novel, I feel the need to finish it. But with a short story collection, I don't. And so I particularly like the month of October because what I do is I switch from whatever I'm reading and I try to at least read one short story per day. I have books here. For example, this is Algernon Blackwood's. Not a great cover. Ancient Sorceries and Other Weird Stories. So as you can see, I'm about halfway through this book. And this year, I will probably read 2 or 3 of these stories. And then I can put this book away until next year. And I don't mind doing that. I just like dipping in and out of these books. And every October, I bring them out and I do the same thing. A brand new purchase that I have is Washington Irving's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and Other Stories. That actually isn't the original title. Now, this is the actual book that was printed at the time by Washington Irving. He actually had to put up his own money. And it's called The Sketchbook of Geoffrey Crayon, Gent. And I guess that gent means gentleman. And so in this sketchbook of short stories, there is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and also Rip Van Winkle. At least one of those stories are in this book, which is American Supernatural Tales. Now, there are a couple of books that, this one is a novel, The Haunting of Hill House, which I've read. But, I mean, that cover, this is so gothic, I just had to grab it, even though it's not a group of short stories. That the motto goes, a fool is born every minute. I will buy something based solely on the cover. It's just how I am. So I'm going to give you an example of this. Penguin Did Me Dirty. So I already had this book in my collection, which is called The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and Other Stories. And then I bought this one this year. It's the same exact book, just a different cover. And weirdly, they're different thicknesses, but they are the exact same book. And because of the different cover, I thought it was a different collection of short stories. So I bought it. But I don't regret it because I love both covers. I love the art on this one for the Headless Horseman, and there's another one for the Headless Horseman. So this one is one that I dip in to both the beginning and the end, because the beginning is short stories and the end is poetry. And so I read a short story and a poem each time I pick up this book. Now, this one fooled me because the cover, look at that cover. That's an awesome cover. I think Richard Matheson, that's on the cover of a Richard Matheson book too. But this is the Penguin Book of the Undead. And I thought it was going to be supernatural short stories, but it actually is like the history. And so, I mean, it goes back to the Egyptians, the Greek and Romans, and they give anything that was written about the dead and the undead. And so it wasn't what I expected, but it's certainly interesting and different. Now, I have 2 books by M.R. James. They're basically a part 1 and a part 2. I highly recommend them. There's a couple of the stories that are in these books that I still think about. Like the description and the writing was that vivid. There's one about a tree, which I won't give away what happens. It was so good. Okay, so I have an H.P. Lovecraft, a Gothic Tales by Elizabeth Gaskell. And that's interesting, right? Because, you know, we got a female in here. And I have one from Lord Dunsany, so all these people related to Lovecraft in some way. And then this one is an outlier. This is Strange Tales from Chinese. I can't read that backwards. What does that say? Chinese studio. Strange Tales from a Chinese studio. And they're very short, with almost always a picture. And these are Chinese ghost stories, but they're so different from ours because they usually involve these spirits that change into animals and bewitch people. And as you can see, I'm halfway through this one, and I actually thought I had finished, so maybe I just put the bookmark in there. Anyways, I'm going to check. Something really interesting, because, you know, we're so used to the way the writers that we're familiar with write. And so one of the reasons why I love reading these old ghost stories, number one, you get taken back in time to a different style of writing, and I think it creates a very different atmosphere. And to me, older writing lends its ear to a Gothic feel more quickly just because of the writing style. So the second reason I'm making this video is because there is a challenge. So I recently found out about a gentleman whose YouTube channel is called Book Pilled. And I wish that I could speak about literature the way that this guy does. He is so succinct, and he is so on the mark, and he's so descriptive. Every book that he describes, I just want to get it and start to read it. He focuses on science fiction, which I absolutely love, but not exclusively. He also tackles classics. I highly recommend that you watch his channel. Every time I see him, I'm just so jealous. But he started a contest based on a contest that he didn't start the contest. He continued a contest based on Plagued by Visions channel. Now, Plagued by Visions is a really young guy who he focuses on extreme literature, or he's got a term for it. I forget what it's called, but basically it's gross and disgusting literature, right? Which that stuff is hard for me to stomach. Like anything with torture in it is difficult. But I've actually watched a couple of his videos, and I've read some of the books that he's discussed, and then he talks about others. But I also highly recommend his channel, but you got to be careful because he covers extreme topics in the literature that he discusses. But anyways, he started this idea, which I'm going through his videos, and I still haven't found the original video for this. So I'm gonna keep watching him because I'm really impressed by both of these YouTubers. In this contest, you are supposed to stop buying crap until you reach a goal. Now, in this case, the goal is to read 100 novels. And in the meantime, you're reading those novels. You don't buy new novels. So you focus on what you already have. I love this idea. So I'm actually going to do this with my books, my graphic novels, and my records. Now, there's no way I'm not going to buy things. I'm just a buyer. But I do limit myself into how much I can buy every month, so I already kind of do that. There's no way I can stop buying my graphic novels, because with graphic novels, they go out of print real fast. Sometimes if you don't buy them when they first come out, then you have to buy them on the aftermarket, and they can, be triple and quadruple the prices. So I got to get them when they come out. Now, as for books, I don't buy that many a month, so I'm okay with that. And I already know that this Halloween, I'm going to at least pick up 3 or 4 new books in the Penguins that I already showed. But what I am going to do is I am going to focus on reading 100 books, and I'm going to document that, and also the albums and the graphic novels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the books, and every 5 that I read, I'm going to document it. I'm also going to listen to albums that I've never listened to before. My rule is I'm going to have to listen to each side at least 5 times before I can move on to another one. Or I can do 2 concurrently, but I have to listen to them at least 5 times each. Right? And as I go through this process this year, I'm going to document, my progress. So I am in the middle. I grabbed these 6 books, and I think I have a couple more in my house. I'm in the middle of all of these books right now. So the beginning is going to be easy, right? Because I'm not starting from scratch. Like, I started and am in the middle of every one of these books. So I've shown some of them before. Jenny the Tetons is going to be easy. It's a kid's book. The Flame Tree of Tika, I'm over halfway. Amazing book. I love this SF Masterwork series. And this one is George Stewart, Earth Abides. I started it, but I actually don't remember it. And since I'm only like 20 pages into it, I'll probably have to restart it. Gene Wolfe's Shadow and Claw, the Book of the New Sun. Okay, so a friend and I read these together. She blew through all 4 of them. She read them so fast. And I'm still on the 2nd book, and this is months and months ago, so I should be ashamed of myself. Not because it's bad writing. These books, if you ask anybody who reads sci-fi, these are probably the #1 greatest sci-fi books ever written. But they're not easy. As I've been talking about, I've been reading Paradise Lost. And finally, I've been on this time and time again, 16 Trips in Time by Robert Silverberg. And again, these are short stories, so I don't mind that I haven't finished it. But I'm so close to finishing that I just need to go ahead and finish it soon. So those are my first 6. So when I finish 5, I will make a video. I'm going to end this video with the covers of all the books with numbers. And I'm going to ask in the comments that you put your favorite book cover and why. I already have mine. I know what it is. So thank you so much for your support. Don't forget to hit like, notification bell, and what was the other one? Subscribe. So all of it helps, right? I'm a growing channel. And if there's anything that I do right, please let me know in the comments. If there's anything that I do wrong, that rubs you raw, tell me in the comments. And I look forward to hearing your answers about which one. And if you could you please tell me why? Because I love discussions on art.